And so here we are again. Many months have gone by, and still, hardly any new information about Persona 5. To be honest with you, it's kind of driving me crazy. So today, instead of reporting on information released from Atlus directly, I'll be going into sort of a fan theory of mine, of what the next game in the series may be about. I wanted to do this because you guys left so many interesting theories on our last discussion video, and I thought it'd be pretty cool if we made another one like this, to put up some excitement for easily the most anticipated game of 2015. Today we'll be speculating which mythological focus Persona 5 will be based upon. In 3, we had a heavy emphasis on gods and goddesses from Greek myth, such as Hermes and Athena, while 4 was based on Japanese legends like Amaterasu and Susanoo. And assuming that Persona 5 will follow this trend, what culture will they choose to take inspiration from? Well, personally, I believe that ancient Egypt is an extremely strong candidate and would fit well with the themes of Persona 5. Let me explain myself here. The first phrase we ever heard concerning the game was "You are slave, want emancipation." Many ancient civilizations were known for owning slaves, but none more infamous than that of Egypt, who used their slaves to construct the pyramids. This may sound like quite a shot in the dark, but I actually believe my theory has some weight to it. What if in this game our antagonists are keeping humanity chained down to further their agenda, or create something for their own benefit? Keep in mind, there isn't a lot of information to base the theory off of in the first place, but I actually think Egypt would be a really cool idea. Think about it. There's a giant pantheon of god and goddesses for both protagonists and antagonists for Atlus to choose from. For our main character, you could start out with Osiris, whom has a deep connection to the underworld, just like Izanagi and Orpheus did before him. His awakened persona could be Atum, the creator god. I like this idea for multiple reasons. First off, Atum's role in his mythology is strikingly similar to Izanagi, as he was the catalyst for all other gods. Also, Atum is usually referred to as perfection or complete. This would be a really good example of the World Arcana persona, since you need to complete each social link to create it after all. You could argue that Amon-Ra would probably be a better candidate for the slot of the hero's awakened persona, but he already belongs to somebody else after all, and we will get to that another day. Next, for our main female healer sort of archetype, we could have Hathor, who was commonly seen as a gentle goddess, and maybe once the main character maxes out the social link with her, Hathor would turn into her alter ego. The avatar Sekhmet, a terrifying god to her enemies, but a caring protector to her allies. So we got the guy and we got the girl. Now we need a second guy. The Magician Arcana is commonly representative of action and manipulation of power that a person gains while going through life. Yeah, that's cool and all, but I want a monkey persona? Or like a baboon? Yeah? Babi, god of the baboons, was the first born from Osiris. So it's natural that our main character and Babi's user would be best friends. Also, Babi was commonly thought to be an underworld guardian who sat next to a lake of fire. There is also fire on the magician card. I rest my case. Yeah, the symbolism here probably needs a little adjusting, but come on, a monkey persona, that's gotta happen. Oh wait, it already did. Like, twice. We got a lot of monkeys in Persona. Well, then I guess maybe Babi could evolve into Thoth or something once he awakens, since they both are kind of baboon deities. Even though that doesn't really make any sense as far as mythology. Hey, whatever. And honestly, the rest would just fall into place, like Ra turning into Horus, Sobek turning into Amat, Wepwamwet becoming Anubis, and Ma'at awakening into Bastet or something. Realistically, it doesn't matter. In Persona 4, they made Jiraiya turn into Susanoo, and made him like a wind element person that looked like this, when he used to look like this. So honestly, they can change things around. It doesn't matter. But I do think the Egyptian gods and goddesses are a perfect match for Persona gameplay, as before mentioned, at certain points in the story, personas change. And there are a lot of gods in Egyptian lore that have different personifications and avatars they associate themselves with. So I think it'd make a lot of sense from Atlus's perspective to use Egypt as their focal point. Now that we've talked about the heroes, let's speak about the villains for a bit. The main antagonist of Egyptian lore is most definitively Set, god of disorder, desert storms, violence, chaos, some other crap. Essentially, the myth of Osiris goes something like this. Osiris and Set were brothers, but Set was jealous of him and his royal status, and he plotted to kill him. And he did! Then he sliced him up in 14 pieces for some freaking reason. And then Osiris came out and now Horus came out and was like, "Hey, you want mate?" And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. But that seems almost too cut and dry for the franchise. Obvious good guy, obvious bad guy. Not really how Mega 10 works all the time. I propose instead of Set being the main antagonist, it turned out to be Set's wife, Nephyrus, or even better, Neith, the first goddess. Neith originally helped man by trying to teach them to hunt and provide for themselves, but she found out very quickly human lives were always fleeting, and they had a knack for destroying each other, so instead Neith became the Weaver, and created protection for the dead, and left a single strand loose so she could keep track of them. But what if this strand became a way to bind the spirits of man? What if the constant conflict between man and gods began to destroy the threads of fate that Neith governed, and drove her to her limits, and began to resent humanity and gods alike? I think this would actually be a very cool take on the story of the games, and also, spoiler alert for Persona 3 and 4, and Persona 3 and 4, the main enemies were goddesses, or Magamis, and Neith herself is also a goddess who could have become furious with humanity, and put into motion the plans to its utter pacification. By yarn. Yeah. Or maybe not. Honestly, there are a few reasons I'm not too confident in my own theory. Firstly, the Egyptian mythos in video games is really overdone, and the Persona team always likes to be on the cutting edge. So I could see why they choose not to do that. Next, it's just too obvious. This is what we are expecting them to do. Heck, maybe they're not going to focus on one mythology and going to use a bunch of other ones. Of course they're going to do something different. That's just how Atlus works. And lastly, well, I'm always terrible at predicting things before they come out. And if this theory is even remotely close to what the final game will be like, yeah, I'd be extremely surprised. Honestly, the game could be based on American lore and have Abraham Lincoln and Paul Bunyan beating up shadows, for all we know. I guess we'll just have to wait a little while longer until the Night of the Phantom on February 5th, 2015, which is most likely the day that we will learn more about the new game. So until then, I thank you all for the support. And if you like this video, check out some of my other videos and subscribe for more updates in the coming months. Until then, see you next time. Oh wait, almost forgot. I do have one piece of concrete evidence supporting my claim here. In Persona 3, your history teacher had a Japanese headdress, and the next game was based on Japan. And in Persona 4, your teacher has an Egyptian spot. Oh my god.